Now it's been a little while since I put a video out, and the reason for that is we recently lost our dad, Roy. Now, he was a wonderful man. He was a very active man and such an inspiration to the whole family. Very kind-hearted, very supportive, and so enthusiastic for life. Now, he's died at the age of 93 and 11 months. The phrase when I was younger, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, has stuck with me all through my life. And in about 2019, we moved away. And one of the reasons for filming my sort of channel is that I could show him what I was doing, and then we could discuss it every week as the videos came out. And he was one of my biggest critics. He used to say, Dave, he said, we don't really want to see you cutting wood for about 5 minutes. And you know, based on his advice, I've sort of honed the videos down to what is, I think now, a much better format. He took such a great interest in that, and he took such a great interest in everything the family did. So I want to dedicate this video to my dad, Roy. We really do miss you, Dad, and well, we love you lots. Well, hello there, and welcome to my workshop. Now, in this series, I'm building a classical style acoustic guitar, but with a difference. I do hope you'll join me. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm back to crack on with work on this guitar. Now, that last episode nearly didn't make it because I stupidly deleted the whole of the SD card and wiped out all the video. So I ended up having to buy some software to recover it. Fortunately I did, so you did get the last episode, but this time I'll try to avoid erasing it. Anyway, got some bits and pieces to do, so let's get on. Off camera, I've filled in all of these inlays with some dust and glue, and to do that I used my new palette of wood dust and glue colours, which uses different types of glue, and I've got a video about how I made this, so I shall put a link to it in the description. But basically the top line here is CA glue, then we've got PVA, and then we've got the Gorilla Glue that I use for the wood. Now, what I did was basically take a piece of this Panga fretboard and hold it up to the palette, and I discovered that this Zebrano with the Gorilla Glue was probably the closest. And if you look at the actual dust, you'll see that it's much lighter, so you don't expect that it's going to match, but in actual fact it does. And so that's where this palette is incredibly useful. And when I made the video, I had a few comments, but I think folk sort of missed the point. In the video I said I was quite surprised just how dark the dust went when it was mixed with the Gorilla Glue. And a few people contacted me and said, look Dave, you should be using Type Bond or you should be using Hide Glue. Now, that wasn't the point really of my video. The point of my video was I wanted to see, with the glues that I have and I can get easily available in the UK, what is the effect with dust? Because I'd been coming across this darkening effect and it was causing me trouble. So by creating this palette, it means I've got a really good choice of combinations demonstrated in this particular video, because I wouldn't have ever dreamed of using the lighter Zebrano with the Gorilla Glue to match the Panga wood, but it does beautifully. So I would recommend you pop along and have a look at my video if you haven't seen it. I'll put a link in the description below. I might even remember to put one in the corner. So this palette hangs in the corner of my workshop, just there, and I have to remember where I've put it. Now then, I'm hoping to fit the tail stop in this episode, and I've started marking it all up, but I've just sanded this fretboard down, and I noticed that the headstock is not exactly how I want it, and my intention is to put a veneer on to match the top of the guitar. So off camera I've just cut myself 2 strips. This is an old fretboard that I'd made. I've just planed these down, sanded them, and I've just been using the shooting board to get a nice straight edge there. So I'm going to do some sort of book match top there and stick it on the top. Now I've got the edges really nice on this shooting board, and I think I'm going to use the board actually to glue it all up as well, because I think it's going to be easier to do that. I've got the whole length here because then I can choose the bit that I actually do want to use. So I think the next thing to do is just to get this glued up. Okay, I've got some tissue paper which I've put some candle wax on, so hopefully it won't stick. So let's just move these off. Put the tissue paper down. Should do the job. Right. Got the first piece there. Second piece there. Just check I'm in the right place. Looks good. Okay, get some glue on these. Just got some weights here to hold it down. But I'm going to just tape across the joint. Now, a tin of screws should do the job. I want to get on fitting this tailstop. Now, in Dave's world of nowhere near perfection, I have managed to make the fretboard a bit narrower than it should be on the end. So, I've got to be very careful, otherwise the strings are just going to slip off the end of the fretboard. So what I've done on this piece of paper is mark out where the strings go into the bridge, and at this end I'm just judging where the strings are likely to end up at the nut. These are 2 outer strings that concern me, and I think I've got it pretty good, so that's pretty parallel, that one is. And if I move to the low E string, yeah, in actual fact that isn't right, that isn't quite right, so I'm going to have to make an adjustment somewhere to make sure that this neck is fitted tightly. In actual fact that's not too bad, that's not too bad. Let's try this one again. That's not too bad. So I think where I've got the tailstop is in the right position. So to explain, you'll see at the end of this tailstop I've got a block which is sticking down. What I want to do is carve out a chunk there and just leave a little bit hanging down at the bottom there, so that this bridge will just hook into that, slot in, and be held securely in place. And that will give me a little bit of an opportunity to make it some minor adjustments just by moving the neck like that. Moving the tailstop like that. So I think I'm in the right place. Looks pretty good. Let's get carving. Just going to score it with a knife first. Right, well I've made a start, but it did occur to me because the far from perfect Dave didn't manage to get the join in the centre of the guitar, unfortunately, so I've got to do something with that. And I wondered whether I could actually also shape this to perhaps join in with whatever I put there. So I've just cut this piece of cardboard out, and I rather like that sort of design. In fact, probably flip it the other way so that I can just get it in the middle there and cover up where the line is, and then I can get this to sort of marry in with that shape there. So let's mark that up on the back of the guitar there, or on the end of the guitar I should say. Okay, so I'm going to find the centre, which is there. Draw a line up like so. Now then, I also need to know where the other centre line is. It's there. Use some of my favourite double-sided tape. Okay. Now I'm going to cut this shape out. I was trying to think what wood I could use to fill this little shape in at the back there, and I've come up with this panga panga. It's got quite a nice grain on it. I think that's going to look quite nice there. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to cut that out. I think this is going to look really smart actually, and I'm just wondering now, because I've left it a bit longer at the top there, whether I can somehow incorporate it in the back end of this tailstop. I don't see why not, because that's going to stand quite proud there. I think the first thing I need to do is get this inlaid. Or do I fit this? Now I've sort of changed my mind a bit. I think I need to do the tailstop first. But it is getting a bit late and I've got a bit of a mess here that I need to clear up, so I'm going to tidy up and come back to this another day. Now I realise that I've come to the point of this build where I've got to make a number of decisions, and if I get any of them wrong I could potentially screw up the guitar, so I've got to be really careful. So it's not just as simple as fitting this tailstop. I need to think about something before I do that, so let me walk you through it. My intention is to have a floating bridge on this guitar so that I can move it to adjust intonation, and I'm probably going to use magnets to hold it down in place, but essentially there'll be forward and backward movement. Now in order to do that I need a certain amount of string pressure down on the bridge, so I think I'm going to have to raise the bridge up. So the first thing I need to do is to judge whereabouts that's going to have to be. I'm using a little block of wood at the end here just to act as a dummy nut. And I've got the string above the fretboard at about 4 millimeters, and that's now resting on top of the bridge. Now the bridge does need to be higher than I'd made it, but I think I can do that by putting some wood underneath it. I think I've got to do that anyway in order to help me with the fixing, so that's not a problem. And I can afford to raise up the centre of it if I need to, so I think I'm okay with this as it stands. The strings are going to come down from the bridge at an angle, and I've measured that angle at about 8 degrees. Now been fiddling around and made myself a little template out of cardboard, which had the height at which the string leaves the bridge on, and from that I've created myself a tiny little template to give me the angle at the back here that I need to cut. So I think that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'll have a go with the old Japanese pull saw. Yeah, to cut it a bit deeper than the line. Get that angle right. Yeah, that's as far as I need to go. I'll just cut a bit of excess off the back here. Okay, I'm getting there. Needs a little bit of fine adjustment because I want to lower it right down so that this end of the tailstop touches the top of the guitar there. So I'm going to use a bit of sandpaper. Very close. Nearly there. Now I need to sand this off so it's flush with the end of the guitar here. I'll just mark it. Okay, that looks okay. I'm just debating whether I glue that or whether I actually put a little screw in there. I think I might have to. There's a block underneath of this. If I can find a nice little screw, I think that would secure it much better than just the glue. Because there is going to be some movement on this, there's no doubt about it, as the strings pull. But I have got an angle there. I don't know if you can see that. And here's the unconventional way of checking the string line by sticking in a skewer, a barbecue skewer, in the hole to get a rough idea. Yeah, I know it's not ideal, is it? But I think that'll do the job. Right, we're coming now to the high-rise inlay work here. So I've marked it all out, including the tailstop there. So my idea is to inlay this piece all the way from the bottom there to the top, just like that. I think it's going to look okay. It's going to be a bit different, but of course that's what this guitar's all about, being a bit different. Okay, right, let's mark it out with a knife. I'm actually going to take this off and do that separately. I'll take the tape off now. Okay, so I can see where I've got to work to. Right, I've moved it to the Black & Decker Workmate because I think it's going to be easier to work in here. Okay, so I've got that to fit really nicely now. So I think the next thing to do is the tail stop. Well, I've carved out this slot or recess for this little fillet on the back here, and I've also carved it out on the tail stop there, so that fits in there really nicely, and that will fit on there really nicely. I'm actually going to put a little fillet of wood just in there. I'm going to attach the bridge with a screw. I've drilled a hole, I've countersunk it so that I can put a wooden bung on the top so you don't see the screw, which I think will look okay, but I was just concerned that there wouldn't be enough support if I just glued it. And the bridge, if I press that down there, you can see that it just lifts up sort of at the right angle for the strings to go over the bridge there. So I think this is looking reasonably good. I also put some oil on that bridge, which really looks nice. Sorry, the tail stop. Keep getting confused. I stuck these two pieces of veneer together to create the headstock veneer, and I've marked it out with a pencil using my template. So let's cut it out on the bandsaw. Okay, I've cut out the basic shape of it, and I've also marked up where the slot should be and also where it should touch the fretboard there. I'm going to have to bend it there to match the contours of the neck. I was going to cut these slots out, but I think what I've got to do first is bend it. So I've got the bending iron heating up. I realise this is going to be a rather slow and laborious way of cutting this out, but I think it will give me better accuracy. I don't want to create the slot that's too big. I'd rather be able to sand it down afterwards. Actually, because I'm cutting with the grain, it's a lot easier. Okay, I'm going to get this glued on. Might be a bit of a fiddle to do that, but let's give it a go. That seems to be okay. There's quite a bit of squeeze out all the way round. I've wiped it off with a brush. I'm just going to leave that now to cure. Well, as usual, I got completely distracted during the making of this video. I was going to stain the top, but then I decided to do the veneer on the headstock, and that's taken all my time. But I'm so pleased that I've done that because I think it looks really nice, and it just sort of finishes off the top end of the guitar there. So in the next episode, I'm going to be doing the staining. Now, this video has been a tribute to my dad, who passed away recently. And I just wanted to end with something that he did. And that was during COVID, he said, rather than just sort of sitting there doing nothing, he said, I'd like to write my life story. So to leave it for the grandchildren. And I said, well, it's a really good idea. Now, my dad couldn't feel his fingers. So he got an iPad, and I suggested that he dictate it into the iPad. He'd been used to dictating during his working life. And so he did. And he basically sent me the document. My sister helped him sort out some photographs and do some editing. And they sent me the document, and I did a format, and we got it printed. And this was before his 90th birthday, but just before. And he said, I'd also like to do one on your mum. Well, my mum had passed away a few years ago, but she left a diary. And so between my dad and my sister, they picked out some little snippets from her diary, and my dad wrote down what he remembered of her life, and he produced another book. So we have two fantastic books, one about my dad, one about my mum, that we will treasure forever. And it was just one of those things that he did. He put his mind to it and got on with it. And well, we really do miss you, Dad. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll join me in this series, and I'll see you soon. Take care.